Welcome to the Elevate Effect, the official podcast of Cedar Hill, Texas. I am your host, Mayor Stephen Mason. As the highest point from the Red River to the Gulf of Mexico, our thriving city is elevated in more ways than one. We will have great conversations with thought leaders and change makers, answer community questions submitted by you, and share important city happenings. Now, we are live from the Poetic Justice Studio at the Trapine Hickman Library in 3, 2, 1. Hello, my name is Steve Mason, and you are listening to Season 2, Episode 4 of The Elevate Effect. I have two guests here with me today who represent Cedar Hill finest and strengths of our natural beauty. Cedar Hill recently launched the Great Greenway, an outdoor district with our city that brings together 7 parks and more than 1,000 acres of experiences. The parks they lead are a part of that destination, helping create opportunities for hiking, biking, fishing, water sports, camping, or simply relaxing in nature. It's an exciting step in positioning Cedar Hill as a premier outdoor destination. We are joined by Rachel Laca, superintendent of Cedar Hill State Park, and Julie Collins, director of Dogwood Canyon Audubon Center. Thank you both for being here. Welcome to the Elevate Effect.
Excellent. We're glad to be here.
Thank you.
All right, great. So we're going to start off with what's called Rapid Fire. Have y'all played that game before?
Absolutely.
Okay. You sound like you're ready.
Let's do it.
She's already on fire.
She's on fire. Say the first thing comes to mind, and I'll start with you.
Okay.
All right. Favorite state or national park you visited?
Big Bend National Park.
All right. And you?
The Redwoods.
Redwoods. Okay.
Yes.
Sunrise or sunset hike? Julie?
Sunrise.
Sunset.
Okay. And the coolest animal you've encountered in Cedar Hill?
For me, the Roadrunner. Absolutely.
Really?
Yes, the
Okay.
Roadrunners are great. They have a personality. You would think that they're all the same. They are not. They actually have personality.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Julie?
Bobcat.
Bobcat.
Yep.
Okay. So it's supposed to be rapid fire, but you kind of expounded a little bit on that. So allow me to just ask you, I've seen those little roadrunners running around, but when you say personalities, can you break that down? Because
Yes.
I'm not familiar with, I haven't encountered that experience.
Yes, they will just run around and they will carry themselves differently. What they decide to go after, lizards or whatever. I actually just recently heard a story about not a bobcat. I was thinking about I recently heard a story about a roadrunner and a red shoulder hawk kind of fighting over a lizard, and the roadrunner won.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wow.
They are tenacious.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you think they can't fly? They can fly.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, wow. I never knew that. Okay. When you say fly, I mean like they kind of like jump off the ground like 2 feet, or they can
No.
like take off?
No, my cousin tried to corner one inside a fence area, and I just watched him. I was like, not going to happen. Not going to happen. He thought he was going to catch him a roadrunner, and
Is
all of a
that
sudden it just flew straight up and over the fence. And which it was like a tennis court fence. It was tall.
Yeah.
So he just flew right up and was like, no, thank you.
Oh, my. And tell me about your experience with the bobcat.
So we have several experiences with bobcats. They just kind of saunter around our buildings, and whenever I see one at Dogwood, usually I'm in my office or going by a window, and I see one and I start yelling, "Bobcat, bobcat!" and to get all the staff to come, and then we all just watch the bobcat together. And it's like, oh, it's so cool, and just with the spots and just so casual, and the little tail flicking around.
Wow. So, I haven't prefaced this question to you, but I'm hoping that you could kind of help me out with my wife, because she would not let the kids go outside because she just knows a bobcat's going to be out there.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a bobcat in the neighborhood, should we be afraid? Should we go inside? What can you give me so I can be able to kind of help my home situation?
A healthy respect of caution.
Okay.
They are unlikely to attack you, so but give them a wide berth. There's what's the term for scaring them off? Hazing. So if you haze animals like coyotes and bobcats or other animals that you don't want them to be around, because otherwise if they get habituated to humans, then it becomes a habit for them to come around people, and then they lose the fear of people. Hazing is a great tactic to have for scaring off coyotes, bobcats. Don't let them get used to people. Let them be afraid of people so that they will then run off when they see you.
Okay. That's what I'll let her know.
Okay.
All of that. Matter of fact, I just played the so she ain't hearing it from me. She actually heard it from an expert. Cedar Hill is blessed to be able to have an Audubon Center. Can you kind of tell us a little bit about that? How many Audubon Centers are in Texas, and just a little bit about what makes it special?
So there are 3 Audubon centers in Texas. There's 32 overall across the country. And so it's unusual to have a conservation organization that has on-the-ground facilities such as these nature centers. And every nature center, Audubon Nature Center, is a unique ecosystem. So in particular for Cedar Hill, we are on this limestone escarpment with a mature juniper oak forest that has an ecosystem where you've got east, west, and central Texas all converging in this area. So I don't know if you know, we're at the kind of the northern end of the Balcones fault zone.
That's right.
And so that uplift where we get the hill country, and then to the east, it's drops down to the coastal plains.
Amazing.
Yep. And so Dogwood is just, we don't have a water source really. It is a true canyon carved by water, starting from seeps up in the hills there, and does have canyon walls. We do have views where you can look across to the other canyon wall, or you can look over at Joe Pool Lake and just experience nature in a variety of ways, whether it's birding or hiking or just exploring, being at peace in the outdoors.
That's amazing. And Rachel, from your perspective, what makes your park such a special part of Cedar Hill, and how does being part of the Greenway, the Great Greenway, build on that?
Cedar Hill State Park protects a very rare natural resource, the Blackland Prairie. Just minutes away from Dallas, we serve as the backyard state park. Being a part of the Great Greenway, we are able to utilize other parks and trails, kind of unifying the whole green space that we have here in Cedar Hill. And so that makes it people available to be able to, easily traverse through the different, parks and trails that we have here.
Just to bring the audience into the mayor's office, we actually spent quite a bit of time, maybe a year, maybe even longer, to actually brand what are we going to actually call this corridor. And the Great Greenway really just seems to be able to fit. So I hope you really appreciate
Absolutely.
what we called it.
Absolutely.
We want it to be a destination. We want it to be something distinctive where if someone brings it up, we know we're talking about Cedar Hill and Cedar Hill State Parks. So anyway, I just hope that, the stakeholders really appreciate that effort. And y'all was probably part of that process as well.
Yes.
But
I think it's good for the community of Cedar Hill, not just bringing people into Cedar Hill, but also for the community, because as we were talking earlier, it takes something that is seems abstract when you just say the Great Greenway, but when you can see all the pieces and how they fit together and are part of these ecosystems, it makes it a lot more concrete, and now you can build that curiosity to want to go visit each of those places.
Yeah, it's amazing. So how do you think being connected to other parks and trails through the Great Greenway will change the way people experience your space? Julie?
Well, as I was saying, that I think building that cohesiveness within the Great Greenway, having a connection, visualizing all those places, I think each of our spaces are just a little bit different, and I'm hoping that they will be curious about wanting to come and discover Dogwood Canyon. They may not have ever heard of National Audubon Society and what we do. I mean, our mission is to protect birds in the places they need. And so with the city being Bird City, it's a nice alignment. And so our programs and events that we have there were very much like the state park. We are conservation and community focused. and wanting to really connect with the community, to bring them to the outdoors and enjoy it in whatever way it is, whether they're a bird lover or a hiking lover.
Yeah, of course, yeah. And Rachel, you have anything to add to that?
Yes, being part of, the Great Greenway, one of the comments that I hear from visitors is that they can't believe, for my specific park, there's 2,000 acres, just south of Dallas. And for them to be able to come out and just forget it all, forget that city life, and to be able to listen to the natural sounds and be able to hike or kayak, or fish, that is just so wonderful. And then, then they leave the park and then, they're back into the city again. So.
Nice. Yeah. Talk about, having a great quality lifestyle that you can just go 10 minutes outside of the loud noise.
Yes.
And you just, plant yourself in the middle of this, park and just realize that nature is around us and it's singing and it's just being joyful and just playing around. It's right here in Cedar Hill,
yes.
In Dallas County, right?
Yeah.
So, so amazing. Rachel, questions for you. Cedar Hill State Park is a staple here in our community. What a moment at Cedar Hill State Park that has reminded you to do this job, and why?
So, our state parks just recently had our centennial. And so part of the centennial, we received a very gracious donation from the Texas Parks and Wildlife Foundation for an ADA kayak launch. And so for me, it's all about, making the outdoors accessible to everybody. And so only days after that we had this kayak launch installed, I got to watch a young boy transfer himself from his wheelchair into a kayak and launch off into the water, and to be able to see his face of that he had independence, he was able to enjoy the world outdoors like everybody else. You could just see his smile across the cove. It was just wow, it was one of those moments. It was like,
during
yes.
the centennial?
Yeah, it was shortly after the centennial.
Okay.
Yeah. No, it wasn't during, the program or anything like that. It was just,
Wow.
one of the projects that we had. And
Wow.
and it was just, thankful for that donation, that right there, that moment, I was like, yes, I actually walked away saying, this is why I do what I do.
Wow. We usually don't get, those reminders that come so often, or instant gratification, right? So congratulations to you on getting that. Now you said 88 kayaks?
Kayak launch, yes.
It's kayak launch, okay.
Yes.
So you said they gave us 88 kayaks, or what does the 88 stand for?
So it's accessibility. So basically what this launch is that they're easily able to go from the land down a gangplank to the kayak launch itself. And then there is a transfer bench. So they move themselves out of the wheelchair onto the transfer bench, and then they're able to scoot themselves over and then just lower themselves into the kayak. And then the kayak, they use the paddle to be able to move through the launch itself, and then they just launch themselves into the water. So,
wow. I would like to come and visit.
Absolutely.
That
Absolutely.
So, great. Julie, I have another one for you. Just like Cedar Hill State Park, the Dogwood Audubon Center is a popular spot for nature. Julie, Dogwood Audubon is a sanctuary for migrating birds. What is the most memorable experience you've had with the wildlife there?
So, I would say I've been there about 13 years, and in 2022 is when somebody heard a golden-cheeked warbler. And this is a small bird. It's a black and white and yellow bird. Comes to Texas to breed and then goes back to Central America to overwinter. Requires a very specific habitat in Texas. And so every golden-cheeked warbler is a Texan. They're born here. And they are an endangered bird because they are losing habitat both in Central America as well as in Texas. Deforestation in Central America and losing out onto development, removing trees. So in 2022, when that golden-cheeked warbler was heard, nobody believed it because nobody had heard it for so long. It's possible they've been there all along, but nobody has heard it. We had birders specifically go out and look for this bird and never could record it. So we just thought, it's not here. It's not it's stopped coming to Dogwood Canyon. And then in 2022, was disbelief. We had disbelief that it's like, no, because there is another warbler that sounds very similar to the golden cheek warbler. That is not what they heard.
Right.
We had expert birders go up and look to disprove what had happened, what they were hearing, and it turns out, nope, they saw it and they heard it, and it was indeed a golden cheek warbler. And so since 2022, we have been putting out autonomous recording units that will record sound within, I think, like a 50-foot radius. And so they're throughout the canyon to pick up the bird sounds specifically for the golden cheek warbler, but we've discovered that we have also other birds of concern within this forest. And so knowing that is something that tells me that yes, this is why we are protecting this habitat, is because we never know what is using that habitat until we go out and explore and see for ourselves. But that golden cheek warbler is a reminder of why we're protecting these spaces. And so it just really warms my heart to know that we're protecting species like that.
Oh, yeah, that's amazing. A couple of things. You was just at our council meeting, I think, was it earlier in March, for the Birds Lights Out?
Oh, I've been to some of them. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, well, there's a representative there, but are we still in that season that we want
to have lights out? Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And during the migration season, which I think runs through May, and so anything you can do to make the skies not so bright, because most birds that are migrating, they migrate at night. And so lights at night can really be a distraction for the birds and cause issues for them during their migration.
That's correct, yes. So for you elected officials out there, mayors, I passed a proclamation. I would like for you to pay it forward. Let's protect our birds. So if you could support Birds Lights Out, that would be highly appreciated. I wanted to also follow up on the state park. Now, there was a statistic that Cedar Hill was the second most visited state park. Do we still hold, that ranking, or where are we at on that?
So yes, it depends on the time of the year. Okay. So we kind of go back and forth, volley, between the second and third most visited state park in the state of Texas. Yes, sir.
Okay. Wow, that's amazing.
Yes.
And this state park, we can camp.
Yes.
So we can stay overnight.
Yes.
You kind of want to break it down. What is it? Something that our visitors are someone who may be interested to find a camping site can find out here in our state park?
So, we have 350 campsites. Currently, we have 2 camping loops that are undergoing some serious renovations. And so it's just going to be an even better experience for our visitors. Okay. We have 5 loops in total. So like I said, those 2 loops are under construction, and then we have 3 other loops. When they come out here to camp, they can choose their experience. They can bring their mountain bikes and, go along our Dorba Trail. We're very lucky to have a Dorba Trail here, which has a 3-mile, 8-mile, and 12-mile. Provides a challenge for those who want to do that mountain biking, or if you just want to come out and hike, you can hike as well. The bluebonnets are out right now. They're absolutely gorgeous. Just saw somebody post something on Facebook recently of just the bluebonnets everywhere, so they're just a sight to be seen, of course. Yep. Then, of course, we have fishing. One of the facts that a lot of people don't know is that at our Texas state parks, as long as you're on the shore or on a pier, you do not need a fishing license. So you do have to follow your rules and regulations for catching fish, but you do not need a fishing license. So that's something that people will, capitalize on when they come out to our parks. We have our swim areas. Like I said, the kayak launch, to come out and kayak. Yeah. They've got all of Joe Pool Lake to be able to do that on. So, and then we have 2 4-lane boat launches. So we definitely support, people coming out and utilizing those to get their boats out there on the lake and enjoy the world outdoors. That's
amazing. This question might be more for Julie, but you can contribute if you like. I'm gonna name drop someone that I think I know very well, but our former city manager, Greg Porter. He loved the parks and he loved the hike and visiting Audubon, obviously. And I remember going out with him at one time, and he had an app and he was listening to, I guess, birds or different type of species, or he'd take a picture, and the app will communicate to him either what he's taking a picture of, some species, or he can also hear what bird is calling. So do you have a reference that we can maybe use for our listeners in case they want to go hiking?
So a lot of people will use the app Merlin to listen to birds.
Okay.
And it will, if you just start a recording of the sound, it will listen to whatever is around, including you talking. So be careful what you're saying because it will record it. But then it'll pop up pictures of what that sound is, what that bird is. And you can save it so you have a list of what you heard that day.
Okay.
The other app that you can use is Seek, and that is related to iNaturalist. And iNaturalist will identify anything. Animals, birds, plants, fungus, insects, whatever it is that you want to identify. You can snap a picture with Seek, and if it is pretty confident what that species is, it will get it down to the genus and species. But if it's not sure, it will give you the family, and then you can post it to iNaturalist then and have an expert then weigh in on what that is. So those are two really good apps, easy to use. Anybody can use them. Right now we have our flowering dogwoods blooming. This is why the canyon is called Dogwood Canyon. It's not named for dogs, but it's a unique grove of trees that is growing on limestone escarpment, which is unusual that they're growing this far west and on limestone. But they are beautiful right now. It has been a great season for dogwood bloom. So if you can get out with your camera and you want to get your app out, make sure that's what you're seeing, you can snap a photo of that.
Nice. Julie, it's probably been about 10 years, but I actually experienced mountain biking on your area, and man, I thought I was in good shape. That was a workout. I was sore for like 2-3 days. And I had a real actual mountain bike. I didn't know that it actually made a difference what type of bike that you ride in. But you had great curves in there. I mean, great, trails. And I don't know if I was on like the expert level, but the level that I was on, I mean, you had to really pay attention. So some of you out there that want to get challenged, I mean, please visit, Cedar Hill State Park. It was a pleasure to talk to you about Cedar Hill's natural beauty and share some insight into our up-and-coming outdoor destination, the Great Greenway. For more ways to explore, head to thegreatgreenway.com or click the link below in the show description. So I think that's all for our time today. I would like to thank you for coming out and joining me here on the Elevate Effect. Next month, our Music in the Park series is back. Join us every Friday in June from 8 to 10 p.m. at Valley Ridge Park for free live music. Each week brings a different vibe with Motown, country, rock, salsa, and crowd favorite hits with a new band every Friday. Bring your lawn chairs and blankets, grab a bite from our on-site food trucks, and get ready for a great night with family and friends. Please mark your calendar for the Juneteenth Best Southwest Partnership celebration in Lancaster, Texas. It will be held on June 13th from 5 to 8 p.m. I look forward to seeing you there. The details will be listed below. It is my favorite portion of the segment. It is time for me to be able to answer questions from you. So I got a question from Jesus. How do you make decisions as a leader when there is no clear right answer? Obviously, that would be case by case. But actually, the first thing that I do is I pray. I actually pray first to make sure that I will be able to get some type of guidance, some type of direction from a higher power. But after that, I just try to actually see both sides of whatever the situation is, and then I just try to do my best. A lot of times, believe it or not, I find the right answer actually in the moment. So it's not actually like I'm getting prepared for me to be able to make a big incredible decision. A lot of times it actually comes to me actually in real time. So please don't be afraid, step up to the plate and as a baseball scenario and try to knock it out the park. Next question. Wanda asks, what was the most random or funny request you have had from a resident? I tell you, as mayor, I get so many questions and it is so random. So I'll tell you what I used to tell my council members. Although we are sitting on the city council, a lot of times it feels like we are counselors. Sometimes people or residents will come and talk to us and they just want to be heard. They don't want any feedback. They don't want us to be able to have a solution. They just want us to be able to just hear wherever they're going through. So maybe that's probably the best answer because it is so random, but a lot of times it doesn't even require me to even give a response. So thank you, Wanda, for checking in. And my final question comes from Stanley. Stanley asked, he lives in Fort Worth and wants to come and check out hiking in Cedar Hill. What all should he do while he is in Cedar Hill? I would recommend you to be able to come to our Cedar Hill Audubon Center. If you like to hike, we have some of the most exotic birds that you can find anywhere in this region. When I say region, not just the Cedar Hill community, but the whole North Central Texas region. So check out our Audubon Center. You'll be, very surprised, especially if you like, animals and nature. And then also we have a great Cedar Hill National Park. It is one of the most popular parks in the whole state of Texas. So please come out and check out either the Audubon Center located here in Cedar Hill or the Cedar Hill National Park. Thank you for your time. And if you have more questions or if you want to be able to submit your questions, please click on the link below and I'd love to be able to answer your question here on the Elevate Effect. Thank you. Remember, the art is not about making money, but in keeping it. Save and invest wisely. Create generational wealth. Thank you.